Right. And so again, it doesn't, at the end of the day, who cares if you like me or not? Right? I don't really care because my green dollar makes you appreciate me. Right? Not my skin color. Green. It's green supremacy in this country. That's why everybody and their mama wants to leave and come to this country to make money. And so again, at the end of the day, racism, white supremacy, all these fancy things, I agree, are a problem.
All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. And today we are doing something a little bit different. So I am in the live chat, but this is not live because I want to have a very serious conversation about understanding the Black community. I know I'm going to get shit for this, but if nobody else is willing to have the conversation outside of the Black community, then I'm going to do it. So before we start, really quick, I just want to address that how this all started has a little bit of drama, and I didn't want any drama involved in any of this. So if you don't care about the drama and you just care about the conversation itself, skip to this time right here. So to set the scene, Real Nathan Daly did a stream about Brandon Calloway. And I was actually streaming during his stream, so I wasn't even able to watch his stream. Once I was done, I actually went on TLA's stream, the lead attorney, and that video is up on the channel right now. And then after that, I saw Nathan was still on, so I wanted to show some support. Went into onto his channel and was watching. And he's already towards the end. He does just like my channel at the end. He'll have a panel time, and he had people coming up. On this panel was I Seen Your Lil Podcast. Apparently, I misinterpreted what he said in any way, trying to dissuade anybody. I was not trying to say anything bad about anyone, and it's very clear if you actually watch the video that that's the case. So I apologize. I would never mean to hurt somebody's feelings or, say anything offensive. That's not how I roll. And that's exactly the point here. So again, I apologize for misunderstanding you. We cool? Good. So I was going to show that what he said, but since it apparently has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, let's just jump into where I was on Nathan's panel. Let's just watch, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
I'm gonna bring y'all both up real quick because I know y'all been waiting. Who wants? I call him Little Jesus, y'all. This is my homie right here.
The Indian Jesus here to resurrect the second coming of common sense.
Hey, what's going on? What's good, you guys? Shout out to channels real quick, Jedi, if you want to go, and then Maz, if you want to go real quick, so people know where to find you guys.
Yeah, you can find me on Jedi Mike 7 on YouTube. I do reviews, news, and truth. I'm also work as a movie critic, but also I do videos about personal development, work to become the best version of yourself, as I work to become the best version of myself. And so you can find me on Jedi Mike 7 on YouTube.
Yes. The moderators can drop that for us. That'd be greatly appreciated. Oh man, what's your channel called again? Let people know where they can find you.
So I, again, am the Indian Jesus here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. You can find, I do live streams, political, cultural, philosophical, all that good stuff. Bobby, did you want to go first? Because I had a direct question if you want to go. I apologize to Jedi. I didn't know his name, and I thought I heard Bobby or something. I just heard an E at the end. Apologies to Jedi. Now I know your name.
Well, I just kind of want to talk about just the situation that referred to by education, saying that like that, I got, and it's not about me as a man, we get kind of triggered, but like for someone that, my parents didn't go to college, and yet we can complain about, the teachers not in the school, the teachers in the household, right? Basically, because like I don't send you to school to be, to be educated. I send you to school to be indoctrinated. Everything you learn in my household. That's what I was raised from, right? My father, he was in the Navy, and then he works as pastor. My mother, she, one thing she kind of instilled me like about everything we had, all these things about education or police or anything like that. You're making sure, hey, listen, you can accept reality, but also you can accept, your choices can dictate your reality. I think that what you kind of displayed, what you displayed like today, like you came from a very, very, I won't say transparent point of view, because like the thing about it is that you acknowledge, hey, this was excessive force. You weren't in denial. You weren't being disingenuous when there were things happening. But then you also, hey, you running away. I don't know what this dude was doing. He's doing the juke. He just up there. I was just like, where'd he go? Like,
right. It's the transmission. It's the transmission.
Where'd he go?
Right,
I was like, where'd he go? But then also I'm just hearing the previous.
So again, I don't know exactly what they're talking about. But he's about to bring up something that is also what I wanted to talk about. Clearly, I'm not the only one who misinterpreted the words that were misinterpreted. Again, I am not trying to bring up drama. I don't care enough about that. If I was wrong, I was wrong. Then it's not relevant to this. But that's why I am playing Jedi's part as well.
Callers, I know personally and everything that, this is something very, very emotional. Like a lot of things, obviously, we're very passionate about this, but I'm in part of many different organizations, especially Black organizations, that that's target some of these issues that can be divisive. But again, I'm like, I think the biggest detriment is you being us as a culture being in denial, and the fact that you can't just really just dictate your keeps complaining, but yet you want. I'll use the example when the callers talk about how many times you've been arrested. I know this person.
I just want to point out again, this is not me talking. I am playing this because it is relevant to the thing that I want to talk about. But this is not me talking. This is Jedi.
Person, right? And then I waited for the answer. How many times? 10. Okay, what out of 7, how many, like you said, was racist?
Right.
What did you do? You did anything illegal? Now listen. Like that's just like, come on, man. Like I just like me personally, I'm in the demographic. I'll be 24 this year, right? And I'll be soon be graduating. I'm at university, and that's why I want to question or pose to you is that I want to have. I'm planning out conversations I'm having with my student-led organizations, and
the person that Jedi is talking about was on the panel earlier and was talking to Nathan. This is obviously Nathan, and they were talking about racism and other things. They were talking in those terms in that context. And Nathan asked how many times that person had been arrested. That person said they'd been arrested 10 times. Then Nathan asked how many of those times were due to oppression. And that's what Jedi is referring to, right? When he said, well, I honestly, I would go back and actually play it, but I literally don't want bullshit drama. And there's a bigger conversation here. And if that's all you're taking from it, then you're in the wrong place. So if you can't get over it, move on.
I'm trying to create panels or discussions for people in our university that tackle these issues, especially with police brutality. Because this person was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, and I'm from a different fraternity. But again, now people will kind of see this and say, "Oh, this is very, very excessive." And yes, it was. But I also want to learn how we can move forward from this in a way we will not put ourselves in these situations. And I just thought the way you analyze this was very, very I think very, very cool, like in terms of in the ways you're being honest again, and the people just don't want to admit that because you kind of display levels of accountability that a lot of us don't want to really want to admit. So I asked that,
and I couldn't agree more with him. But notice how I'm just sitting here quietly waiting, listening, and patiently and respectfully waiting for my turn to talk.
Ask that question to you is how can I propose certain narratives for conversation at my university when really coming from a liberal university, they are, everyone's saying, well, F the police and all the other situations. And I'm also close to DC. So it's, it gets very heated.
The problem is the best advice I can give you is that it's hard to talk to people who are
Nathan, that white noise. Come on, bro.
Are emotional. People who are emotional, it's very difficult to have a conversation with them because they want to make moral arguments, right? Their job is to get you to understand how they feel. Nothing else matters. You have to first be able to acknowledge that their feelings are real. When I come into a conversation, I don't come into a conversation to be right. Does that make sense? I come into the conversation to understand why you believe you are right.
How often do we talk about having conversations like that? That is why my purpose with this video is to have an extended conversation with Nathan or anybody like Nathan who is willing to have this conversation intellectually and not turn it into some type of offensive thing, and understand that I'm at the table trying to learn, trying to do better.
And that forces me to listen, to understand. I come in to listen, to understand. I want to know why you think you're right. I never tell you that I'm right. Even when I know you're wrong, I say you're not accurate. Why? Because people don't like to be wrong.
Right.
So what I've noticed when you're dealing with people who are very sensitive, people who are very emotional, is that especially when they know you're coming with a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge in this subject matter. When you're a subject matter expert, people believe that you're here to tell them about themselves, per se.
Again, just for a little bit of context, Real Nathan Daly is a retired cop. So they were, and the stream itself, entitled "Brandon Calloway Brutally Beaten by the Police, Was This Justified?" Not super directly relevant to what we're getting at, but I got to give you guys some context.
Notice when you're dealing with people who are angry, frustrated, legitimately and emotionally connected to the incident or the cause or the problem, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And so when you're coming into a situation like that, know your audience. When they know that you care, then they want to know what you know, and then they're willing to listen. Does it make sense?
Yeah, because I think the only thing that I see consistently that I try to work on myself is that, the practice of listening skills. But at the same time, it's just because I acknowledge your experiences doesn't mean I'm trying to discredit like what happened to you. Just I think perspective is everything. But also the fact that like when we can are able to articulate our perspective, I also believe there's a way that our perspective also can be influenced by certain narratives that actually are not being detrimental and lead to basically being more not lead to a solution. Again, going back to the point of complaining. So just like when you mention things, well, I know this story, what happened here. Okay, then where'd you hear that from? Oh, from this other police department. Like, okay, but again, you are someone in this profession. And obviously, you admitted the fact there are people in the profession that are not, not for us. Any of us on this panel right now, right? So let's keep it a buck. So, but my thing is that I just try to make sure that the fact that I'm trying to challenge the narrative, I'm not trying to see I'm not for you. That's not what I'm trying to say. And for me, being a member of these organizations and also on the college campus in my last semester, like I wanted to like leave a staple, like at least to trying to change the conversation. So
and again, I'm still not really sure what Jedi is talking about here, which is again exactly why I want to do this video and have this extended conversation. So if you're a little bit confused, just stick with me. Trust me.
You can be more productive instead of just grab your torch and pitchforks.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And if there's anything I can do to help, you know how to reach me.
Absolutely.
I'd love to be a part of anything like that. But you do a phenomenal job as well, mediating as well. You're very gifted. You have a voice and you have the heart to do it. I think the other piece to that is that you have to have the right heart. A lot of people try to do what you do or try to do the things that I'm doing now. But if your heart is not in it, people can see that. People can see that. So, Jedi, you the man, bro.
No, all day. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I love that clip that you made too. Shout out to you for that. That was dope.
I don't know where you get these jokes from, bro. Just even at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Bro, listen, people don't know. I
can smell the cholesterol on your.
Listen, people don't know, man. I'm very ruthless, man. I've been through a lot, so I've had to. I could be petty, right? I could be officer petty. I know how to zone. I know how to roast, but with the best of them, I'm witty, quick. So I just don't show that side because it's not necessary. Because sometimes it can be distracting because initially my purpose here on YouTube is to educate people. I'm not here to create enemies. I'm not here to exalt myself or anything like that, which is why I'm so patient when I bring people up and I have these conversations. But man, I could shoot. Put me in a corner and see what happens. So, and I'm very confident. I'm very confident. And I'm very well read. So, when people come up here, I always tell them, you're not talking to an idiot, So, I definitely know how to get down if I need to. And I keep a couple curse words in the back pocket. If I can come down the high horse. I can get on the vernacular if I need to, right? So, but sometimes people get shocked when I have to spread my wings on them and start really, really acting up. But nonetheless, that's why I like going to Black Man Unfiltered, because I can be unfiltered. So if my audience saw how I was acting over there, they'd be, we're ashamed of you, Nathan.
And again, it's just a little bit more context. I personally really appreciate Nathan's approach to his channel in general. He talks a lot about accountability. He talks to other Black people about why getting all riled up over certain instances that you see in the news isn't always a good idea because of the way it's reported and how things work. And he's a cop. He is a cop, or he was a cop. But as far as I can see, he is one of the very, very good ones.
But no, I love it, man. But Jedi, man, I appreciate you, bro, for coming up. If you got time, man, I'll drop you back, man, and I'll holler at you.
Sure, yeah, drop me down.
All right, cool.
All right. I've heard the sentiment echoed many times. So if that's not what he was saying, okay, that's not what he was saying. That doesn't change the fact that I've heard what I've heard. Moving on.
All right, brother. And I see you, Robbie. I'm going to bring you up. Man, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, man. We always seem to be streaming on the same day.
Right.
And today included. So I apologize because I didn't see the beginning of the stream, and I wasn't going to come up. But, exactly what Jedi was just talking about. The gentleman who was up talking about, how he's oppressed and everything.
Right.
I've talked about this before, but I'm obviously not part of the Black community. But at least as far as YouTube goes, I'm very much, in the Black manosphere, right. Like that general thing. So I have a lot of these types of conversations, a lot more than I ever did earlier in my life. So I guess the first question, just like out of percentage, what percent of Black men do you think feel that way about being oppressed, and that the schools should be doing that? Just echoing what that gentleman was saying.
Again, not echoing what he was saying, but echoing what I've heard a lot of other Black people saying, that Black people are inherently oppressed, that Black people are held back and cannot succeed or do well, and not from everybody. Of course, not from everybody, but I've heard it, and as you'll see, I don't feel comfortable all the time saying, "Hey, I don't think you're right."
I think it's a small percentage. I think it's a small percentage. I think, unfortunately, we have been led to believe that Black people in this country are not educated. We're led to believe that we're not successful. We've been led to believe that what you see on media and put it in media is a reflection of the greater group of the Black community, and that's statistically that's not true. Now, are there issues that need to be addressed? Yes. Collectively, do we work together to get things better? No. One would argue that we collectively don't work well together. Mm-hmm. But I think, unfortunately, man, the conditioning of the media is so toxic, dude. It's so toxic. And I've even I was talking about this the other day, just about how when I have kids, they're not going to be on the television, man. They just can't. It's such a powerful machine. Social media, same thing, So, but when you start looking at stuff, because again, I was never raised to think of myself being less than what I was able to do for myself. So, but again, when you look at the family structure I had, right? Both parents, I had an active family, I had like a little village. Those things matter when you talk about how children are being raised. The most important thing in our community that needs to be addressed and repaired is Black families. When the family unit is dysfunctional, and this is in any community, this isn't just anything unique. If you come from a household and there's dysfunction, that will impact you, right? Okay. As going into an adult, and so that's an issue, and it's a big issue within our community. And so,
well, the reason I ask is because I saw in the chat a lot of people disagreeing with him, but I've heard that sentiment echoed a lot, and it makes me sad because it's almost like a self-bigotry of low expectations. You see a lot of white liberals, feel like they have to come and save the Black people because they don't know better. But then you see it, through the same media sources, people who are thinking that about themselves. And I was just curious how widespread that is, because it's sad. And I'm a minority, but I'm not Black. And same thing. My dad's a doctor. I never had to worry about money, anything like that. Yeah. They didn't let me know until I was older. I wasn't allowed to get N64 until PS2 came out. But the idea being that was always instilled in me. And they're immigrants, so they came here with nothing. And it's just all the things that you've been talking about. I hear a lot of the sentiments that that gentleman was talking about coming from Black people often, and I don't feel like I'm in a place to be like, hey, I feel like you might be off base and you're not giving yourself enough credit.
So I want to pause here and clarify that point because, again, this seemed to have been misunderstood. And I think that regardless of your gender, your color, even your age or whatever, that you are just like anybody else in the ways that we're all the same. We got two eyes, we got a brain, we can do stuff. The color of your skin does not change what you are capable of, in my opinion. That is what I meant by that.
Because then it's, oh, you just don't understand, and I acknowledge that. I don't necessarily understand. But, I got a degree in psychology. I'm 32 years old. I've been around the block. I know a little something. I've had my own issues that, are not related to that, but, overcoming stuff. So I am actually glad to hear that you don't think that it's very widespread. And I hope it becomes, especially through platforms like this, I think you're doing an amazing job of, explaining exactly why. Not only is that not helpful, but in your words, not accurate. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's late here, but it's refreshing to see that being challenged in a space where there is nowhere. And I don't know how to say this without sounding maybe effed up. So if it comes out wrong, I'm coming with a good heart. But there's not that many places for somebody to push back on that type of sentiment without getting that a racist label coming back at them. Even myself, not being a Black person. Right. It's still hard to even talk with some of my good friends who are Black about that because I don't know
right.
where to stand.
Let me say this because you're touching on something that's very important. You're correct because there's an issue with, and I've been saying this recently to myself, trying to understand, because I have conversations with people. The Black community is very divided. And it's divided based on the things that I said earlier. I call it the 3 C's of bondage. And it's something I've been working on and I'm still fine tuning it. Again, it's complacency, complaining, and competing. And all 3 of those things are going on actively in the community. We're not all on the same page. Again, some of us are competing, some of us are complaining, and some of us are complacent. And we all view the world differently. You put 100 Black people in a room and they're not all going to agree on the same thing as far as the conditions of this country. Do we feel oppressed? You're going to say something like, nah, they're going to walk over here. You're going to say, hey, do you feel like the white man is keeping you from being successful? They're like, nah, not at all. Do you believe the police are hurting the Black community? No. Some people say Black folks are hurting themselves, right? So everyone's not agreeing. We're not all on the same page.
And again, I want to reiterate that it sounds to me like what I am asking about, because I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I don't know. But the part that Nathan mentioned about, being kept down by the white man, that's more specifically what I thought was being talked about and what got me along this line of thinking. And even if, the gentleman was not talking about that, I hear a lot of people talking about that. And I want to dig into that because, again, I think it's sad for people to think that about themselves. And if I can understand better why people feel that way, maybe I could help. I don't know. But certainly, just assuming that Black people can't help themselves. And so we've got to make laws that give them the upper hand automatically is exactly the bigotry of low expectations.
If you ask some people, they don't all agree. That's a problem. There's inconsistencies on what we really believe the issues are. Some Black people said Trump was doing a good job for Black people. Some people are saying, no, Biden is doing it. And then again, right. So again, then some people are saying politics is the problem. Some are saying politics aren't the problem. We're not cohesive. And because we're not cohesive, we can't really attack the real issue. The real problem is money and economics. The real issue is class. It's a class problem in this country. Right. And so it's being decorated with race. This is a race between races, respectfully, in this country, right? Every group works together within their group. If you don't work together as a group, then you're easily attacked,
I agree with that. However, you rarely hear, the only other community that you often hear about is the LGBTQ community. And that's a whole other conversation, whether that's valid or not valid or whatever. It's not what I'm getting at. But for the longest time, women were the other oppressed class, if you want to put it like that. It was, Black people were oppressed and women were oppressed. But even in talking about women's issues and feminism and all of that stuff, there was never talk about the female community. And so let's go on because that becomes relevant.
So again, when those who properly understand what's going on, it does not mean they're not racist people. There's racist people in all ethnic groups, right? Let's just be honest. Chinese, Hispanic, Indian, some racist ones in there too, right? And so again, it doesn't, at the end of the day, who cares if you like me or not, right? I don't really care because my green dollar makes you appreciate me, right? Not my skin color, green. It's green supremacy in this country. That's why everybody and their mama wants to leave and come to this country to make money. And so again, at the end of the day, racism, white supremacy, all these fancy things, I agree, are a problem. They all fall victim to a united group of Black people. If Black people come together properly, bring their money together properly, white supremacy and all that stuff falls at the wayside. You know, the issue with our community that I've been seeing is that we are attacking the things that are good and then uplifting things that are bad. It's like an autoimmune disorder, right? You're attacking the white blood cells. The body is the community. People who mean good and want to do good for the community are being attacked. They're being labeled as being sellouts, being coons. There are people in the Black community who are trying to do great things, but because their views don't match the views of others, they're being pushed out of the community. Hey, we got to get your Black card back. This is the only race where they'll take your color from you, right? And so you hear it all the time. It's like, oh, well, we had to take his Black card or her Black card because they are trying to hold Black people accountable. Hey, stop.
This is the meat of the conversation. This is what I want to dive into. So whether it's Nathan or it's anybody else, this is the part that I don't want to say I get lost, but there's a piece missing that I just don't understand. And if you keep watching, you will understand what I mean by that.
Sagging. Hey, you're a sellout for telling me that. Hey, don't wear the bonnets. Hey, you know, I can do what I want to do. There is a portion of our community that does not want to be corrected, don't want to deal with the authority, don't want to be respectful and things of that nature. And we want to hold on to things that are counterproductive for the growth and the betterment of our community. That's not all, but it is some. And so again, that is something that needs to be addressed. And again, I look at the bondage as being complacency, complaining, and then competing. You know, so it is a big issue. I talk about on the channel. There's a thing now where there's a movement with people who are like FBA, Foundation of Black Americans, and then immigrants. Right? There's this competition now. That's more division. You know, hey, even though your skin's Black, doesn't mean you're an original slave, an original descendant of slaves in this country. Right? So you have more division amongst a group of people who need to be coming together to fight one singular cause. Then you have the LGBT movement that's also creating division within the Black community. I mean, it's just divided. We're like 14%, and we're dividing ourselves 14 different ways, and that's why we can't get everything together, unfortunately. And there's other things, but for the most part, right?
So let me ask you a question from complete ignorance. I've struggled to understand exactly.
Again, what did I just say? What did I just say? Coming from complete ignorance. Anybody who wants to call me racist, give me the engagement. I would love those comments. But anybody who's serious can see that this is what you want. You want people to understand you better. And I'm not talking just about the Black community. I'm talking about individual people. You, me, your sister, your brother, whoever, your all want people to care enough to understand us better. And not everybody does. Nobody gives a shit about you. But I care. I care enough to ask. I care enough to get into this possible bullshit that might come from it. Hopefully we can just move on and have the real conversation. But I care. And if you care, I would love to hear your response to all this, please. And that's not a challenge. I want to open this up. I want this to be a civil discourse. You know, we can go back and forth with videos. We can be whatever. I'm just looking to learn.
Exactly why there is such a push to build the Black community specifically, right, as opposed to let's be part of an American community. Does that make sense?
Good question. Yeah.
Where I mean, I know that's a complex question, but
kind of, sort of. But let me just say it this way: because of the history of this country, Blacks being enslaved, Black Americans, the original Black Americans who were descendants of slaves, literally built this country, right? Built the foundations of this country. And then they were robbed, right? They were robbed of their culture. They were robbed of their language. They were robbed of their the resources. They were promised land, and then the land was taken from them again, you know? And then after slavery, 1865, they were released. And then the government used tools of systemic racism right? And within the laws, they use the laws to basically trick Black people back into being in prison again and use that free labor.
I didn't want to interrupt because that's disrespectful, but I'm not unaware of these things. I just wanted to see where he was going. I completely agree that, America was very bad to Black people for a very long time, and the effects of that still echo today. I've never disagreed with that.
We Jim Crow laws, Black codes, and things. So redlining, all these techniques were used to basically oppress Black people. So this is a fact. Then they use the police as well as a tool. So this history is so real, and Slick wasn't really that long ago. So
Absolutely.
basically, what ended up happening, Black people after they were freed in this country, they started developing their own areas, their own communities, their own cities, their own neighborhoods, their own businesses, and they were doing really, really well. They're really successful. Families were together. And then you would have white people that would come by and destroy their communities. They'll burn them down, set them on fire. And so then this economic struggle would take place because they were constantly being harassed, constantly being mistreated, constantly being lynched, taken advantage of. So in a way, the best way to describe it is that you have 7 people come to a table and they play Monopoly, right? And they sat there and they played Monopoly. You know how Monopoly works? Start getting houses, green houses, red houses, right? Well, they played for about 100 years by themselves while Black people watched. And then the law said, hey, you gotta let Black people play too. And they're like, all right, now you can play. But at that time, they bought everything up. They bought everything, they owned everything, and owning meaning the wealth, right? They took advantage of everything, though they actually themselves did not build it. So now all this wealth has been accumulated off of the backs of Black people. And then what happens? Now you have a situation where you have Blacks who have neighborhoods and things like that. Well, the reason why it said that Black people have to stop incorporating themselves into the economy of the country is because even today, you can still see forms of slavery still taking place, but the slavery now is slavery of the mind and of the Black dollar and not necessarily of the Black body. We still
see there. I agree completely. I agree completely with him, but that's not specifically a Black thing, as far as I know. Again, coming from ignorance, teach me. And as Nathan is going to say many times, that it's a class issue, green supremacy. And so, again, I'm looking for the connection of why there needs to be a specific focus on lifting the Black community as opposed to being an individual who is part of an American community that we all want to uplift. And that may be a very ignorant statement. I acknowledge that. That's the whole point. I don't know any better. Help me.
use the Black body, but the Black body is not in chains. The mind's in chains, but the Black resource is still being taken advantage of. So what's happening is in Black communities, majority of the businesses in those communities aren't even owned by Black people. They're owned by Indians, right? Asians, right? So you have liquor stores, you have food places, you have beauty supply stores, nail shops, and so on and so on.
I can acknowledge that it would be better for the Black community if those things that he listed, all those stores and services, were owned by Black people. But it's not, unless I really don't understand history, it's not like these Asian and Indian immigrants came here and took that business from Black people who were trying to start those nail shops and so on in their community. So I don't understand what the relevance is. If you know that, again, being a class issue, lower class neighborhoods are more likely to have a higher concentration of liquor stores. I'm not saying that because that is also the case in low class white neighborhoods, that racism doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, how does the fact that other races own the businesses in Black communities have anything to do with racism, oppression, or anything like that? I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm asking how it does.
All these things, and they're taking money out of the Black community and they're taking it back to their own community. So when people are making the statement of, and we're talking grocery stores don't belong to Black folks, we just don't own any essential businesses in our own communities.
And again, that's is anybody stopping Black people from owning businesses in Black communities? Maybe they are. Again, I'm asking questions. I do not know. I'm coming from a place of ignorance. I'm asking you out there watching to help me understand better.
And it's because of the history of how it's been systematically basically raped and robbed, right? And so
that's another point which if Nathan's a bigger channel than me, if he doesn't have the time to respond to this, I completely understand, but I would love for him to do that.
That's what actual business in our own communities, and it's because of the history of how it's been systematically basically raped and robbed, right?
So what is that history? I want to talk about specifically what that history is, and which, was it redlining that caused this? Was it Jim Crow that caused that? I'm not saying those things aren't there. I just don't have the knowledge of what those connections and what that historical timeline actually looks like.
And so that's why the conversation is always comes back to, in order to fix the problem, we have to remove ourselves from white institutions and then start investing into our own stuff. So our dollar starts coming into our own communities and circulating. Essentially, one would argue that the Black dollar is what holds up the economy of other ethnic groups in this country. When you think about other ethnic groups put businesses in the Black community to actually make money, when in fact that we ourselves don't have our own set business. We don't own the beauty supply stores, and to name one, nail shops, we don't own any of those, but we constantly give our money to them. And so that is an issue. I would also say,
and again, an issue, I don't disagree that it could be an issue, but I don't know what is meant by that. What is the issue with that? That more Black people need to be owning nail shops, or that Black people need to stop going to nail shops that aren't owned by Black people? And again, this is not to say anything bad about Nathan. This was over 3.5 hours into a stream, and it was like 1 a.m. So the whole point is that we didn't have time to really dig into this there. So I'm doing it now.
That it works the same way with owning media and entertainment. We have rappers, one of the biggest earning people who make money in this country, athletes. What do? They basically take Black athletes out of Black colleges or Black communities, bring them into white areas and white colleges, and they make all the money for them. Almost 60-70% of the Black athletes in the NFL, about 60-70% of the NFL players are Black. About 60% of the NBA players are Black. So they bring in all this money, but they don't own any of the teams. So it's like, yeah, I'm cutting you $1 million check, but if you can cut me $1 million check, how much is your check, right? So but
again, and I'm not trying to deny anything. I'm just filtering through my own perspective. My job works the same way. My boss don't even go and sell I'm a dog trainer, and my boss don't even go and sell the training packages. I go to the people's house. I sell them the packages, but then my boss gets the money, and I don't even get a cut of the sale. I just get paid for my time training, and I make a lot less than professional athletes. So again, there's something missing that I'm not getting, and I don't know what it is, and I'm hoping y'all can tell me.
Another form of slavery, and I understand how they did it, and I do understand how to get out of it. But
then please, Nathan, this is where I need you. You understand how they did it, and you understand how to get out of it. Please explain that to us, because maybe this is common knowledge in the Black community, but the rest of us don't understand what that means and what that is. But you're saying you understand. So I would love to hear. And again, if it's not Nathan and it's anybody else and you understand what he's saying, please make a reaction video, hit me in the comments below, whatever. I am trying to learn.
It is a mind thing. And, Bob Marley, well, I would say Marcus Garvey said emancipation.
I just want to point out that, it's not because I'm a stoner that I was like, hey, Bob Marley. No, my mom is Jamaican, born and raised, and my parents love Bob Marley.
Yourself from mental slavery. That is like a real thing. And so this form of oppression, in my opinion, is economics. It's economic based. And so, but the challenge.
So it's economic based. Is that mutually exclusive from being racially based? Is it a combination of the two? Because I agree that it seems to be a financial, an economic, a socioeconomic issue. And it happens to be that Black people tend to be per capita, I think, more likely to be in a lower class situation. And that's not cool. But again, I don't understand what the prescription is. What do we do? What do we do about that? Again, I'm not challenging anybody. I'm just asking questions.
Are you oppressed? In my personal opinion, what level of control do you have over it? And what I say by that is, if I can remove myself from the oppression? Am I really oppressed? Though it might require sacrifice, but am I free to do something different? Yes, right? The problem is what makes this situation in this country so genius, is that the reality is it's convenient. So some people label, we say white supremacy. Let's say white supremacy.
And again, this is where I am really lost. Again, I am not saying that I don't understand the tie between racism and oppression of Black people and white supremacy. I see those ties. But in the context of what he and I are directly talking about, I'm lost. What does white supremacy have to do with any of this?
It's convenient.
How so?
Because if white,
You mean as an excuse?
no.
So what I was asking is, I thought he was saying white supremacy is an easy scapegoat for people to say, oh, I'm oppressed, I can't do anything because of white supremacy. That's what I thought he was saying. Apparently, that's not what he was saying. I get things wrong sometimes. I am not perfect. I'm just trying to learn.
As a reason why it's so difficult to separate from. So convenience, meaning it's easier to, let me tiptoe. It's easy.
This is that's the issue. Don't tiptoe. Please don't tiptoe. When you tiptoe, I get confused. I'm confused. This was 2 nights ago. I'm still confused.
Easier to, when you look at a situation, what's required for freedom? What's required for change? Sacrifice. You got to sacrifice. Power cannot be created nor destroyed. It's shared or it's taken. And so if we know that power can't be created or destroyed, and 99% of the power is in control of other people except for Black people. Black people own 1% of the nation's wealth. 1%. We own 1% of the wealth. So everybody else got the rest of it. We don't even own 13%, which would be right around our population size. We own 1%. The question is,
and again, I understand why that is relevant to the racist history of this country. That part I get. But why I'm confused is, what does that have to do with Black people today being successful, or any of that kind of stuff? That's what I don't understand.
Can we have more? Can we get more? Yes, absolutely. Are we capable of getting more? Absolutely. What's going to be required to do so? Sacrifice.
And is that different for Black people than other minorities? Again, not challenging, just asking. I don't know. I'm not Black, never been Black, probably never going to be Black. I'm just trying to learn and make this world a better place.
But man, it's convenient, right? White supremacy, the idea of it is very, very convenient because it requires you don't have to do much. I don't have to worry about where my water's coming from. I don't have to worry about how the trash is being taken out. I don't have to worry about a lot of things. I don't have to worry about the grocery store. I don't have to worry about growing my own food.
Why? What does white supremacy have to do with you worrying about going to about the grocery store, about growing your own food? I'm not making the connection. That's what I'm missing.
You cannot have a revolution without sacrifice. You can't have change without sacrifice.
And what is what revolution? Now we're talking about revolution. And again, I assume that Nathan is speaking this way because this is something that, at least maybe, again, just guessing from an ignorant standpoint, that maybe Black people talk among themselves about this all the time and understand what this means. But I don't have, as I said in the beginning of this, that I'm only just now starting to have these conversations because of the people that I have around me that have supported my channel, that I support their channel. It's a heavier concentration of Black people than I've had in my life before, and it's not like I went to some white only school, but these conversations weren't happening, and so here I am trying to learn. And Nathan's doing again, no hate on Nathan. No hate on Nathan. This is 3 hours and 45 minutes into his stream, and I'm throwing big ass questions at him. But I just don't understand.
Unfortunately, in this country, the power and the financial power of Black people hold up the country. We spend $1.6 trillion last year. $1.6 trillion. We are big time consumers. We spend a lot of money in this country.
And again, a question: is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that something that needs to be changed, or is that just it is what it is, and so we need to address the fact that that is the way it is? So we need to change things because of the fact that that is the way it is. I don't get it.
The money we spend, our expense, is someone else's stream of income. Now,
but that again, how is that different than anybody else who doesn't own a business? How is that different than anybody else who doesn't own a business? Every dollar you spend goes into somebody else's pocket. And then that's everybody who doesn't own a business. What is the difference between the socioeconomic status of people who are putting their dollars as consumers in other people's pockets and the black people who are putting dollars in other people's pockets who are not black? Because I'm also putting my dollars into the pockets of people who are not black, but I'm also not concerned about specifically putting my money into Indian businesses or into Asian things or into Jamaica. That is not how I view the world. And that's why I'm having trouble understanding why it's so common among the black community to feel like you have to sacrifice for the community. If you're all sacrificing and still doing all these things, putting dollars into all of that stuff, A, I don't really understand what you're sacrificing. And B, how I don't understand how that's different from anybody else.
Our expense is someone else's income. Meaning, if we spent $1.6 trillion, whose pocket did that go into? So it's so deep. This whole thing is so deep. The U.S. government spent $700 billion on the military. That's the military budget. Black people, 13%, we spent $1.6 trillion. So again, are we oppressed? No, we're manipulated.
So let me put it in a different way, and then because I know this is a whole conversation.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like maybe I don't have a better word, but the self-segregation, saying we need to be the black community, we need to represent our culture outwardly. It seems to be, on one hand, what a lot of black people say holds them back, and then in the same breath will say is so important. And like you were saying before, that if you don't follow it, then you're selling out. And
so again, I want to just clear up that if you believe as a black person that the black community is so oppressed, whatever word you want, then why are you not trying to get in with another demographic? Why is the notion of selling out such a big deal to strangers? You don't know these people. They just happen to also be black. I don't think about things in terms of what other Indian people are doing. And especially if I thought being Indian specifically held me back, then I would do everything to say I'm not part of that community. I am somebody who is, whatever is not the bad aspects that people think of the black community. And then just as an individual, Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. If everybody has these racist thoughts about the black community and black individuals just don't fit that narrative, then the narrative goes away because it's not true. If we see successful black people all over the place that don't embody the black, look or whatever, why is that a negative thing? Like, I'm not comparing being an atheist to being a black person. I'm just saying both groups are, in general, there's some bad, we get a bad rap in certain areas. That's the only comparison I'm making. To be clear, I am not comparing being an atheist to being a black person. But as an atheist, I don't necessarily go around and try to fight for the atheist community, because I understand that a lot of atheists are stupid leftists who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It just so happens that we hold similar beliefs about whether or not we think a God exists. So why is that different for the black community? I just don't get it. And kudos to Nathan for taking the time to try to explain this, but and especially with this short a time. But again, that's why I want to do this, so we can expand this, no time constraints, and really understand this, because I highly doubt that I'm the only person who's this confused.
That's the disconnect I'm getting. So that if again, statement from ignorance, but I feel like if I was black, then I wouldn't want to associate with the notion of the black community being lesser than that. I would want to be, as I do now, an individual work, because you don't hear
the problem is, and it won't make sense because that's the power of the conditioning.
What won't make sense? What won't make sense because of the power of conditioning?
You know, and when you have to, man, you have to. I'm gonna recommend something for you to take a look at, and I think it'll blow your mind because
you still got to send me that, Nathan.
Unfortunately, out of respect to the white people of old, they were extremely wicked. They were extremely wicked, and what they did to Black Americans, I would say, is evil. There's no other way, right? And the mind games that they played in order to create chattel slavery, sick, very twisted, very evil, and they did it all for control, power, and money. Everything about this country is and will always be about money. And if I have to make you think that your color has something to do with it to keep you subjugated, then by golly, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. It is.
So again, if I have to make you think that your color is what's going to keep you subjugated, that's what I will do. But nobody can make you like I mean, I'm a short guy. I'm 5'4". I've been told that I'm because of that. Dating is that's a whole other conversation. But you get what I'm saying? That I'm it's not going to make sense that I could get a hot girl who is a great wife and whatever. Is that what you mean? That I've been conditioned that short people don't? Yeah. Again, I'm just asking questions. I do not understand, and I would like to.
It's a sick game, man. It is, and they have created a way to make people who are really amazing, who are contributing so much, who've invented so much, who have saved so many lives from their own DNA to the melanin in their skin, contribute so much to this country. They have made them believe that they are not as great and as awesome as they are. And they continue to fool us every single day. And so that's why when I get up here and I speak and I'm talking to someone who tells me, well, I don't vote, I don't believe in that, and it's your job to educate me, I know that they've already entrapped you and it's not your fault, right? It's not your fault. But at the same time, the reason as to why
it may not be your fault, but it absolutely is your responsibility. I'm gonna say that again. It may not be your fault, but it is absolutely your responsibility to break out of whatever conditioning and brainwashing that you were brought up with and understand the world as it really is. So I completely agree. I don't blame any black person for feeling like they are inherently oppressed and they will never be able to make it in America because the white man's keeping them down. I don't blame you for having thought that. But I do expect you to look at the world around you and see that you are an individual who can do whatever the fuck you want. And that other people generally want to judge people on the merit of who they are. And there's racists out there, of course. There's unconscious racist biases in the air, of course. But that doesn't mean that that's an excuse to not do anything, to not succeed, to not try. That's what I thought he was talking about with when he brought up white supremacy, that he was saying that people were conditioned that way. And I think that's completely fair. But again, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Here cannot be the excuse for why you are still here. And unfortunately, the key to changing this thing is within the seeds. You have to fix the children. And then you have to change the environment in which the seeds are being planted in order to course correct. If you're not doing those things, you're not doing anything, and you're going to keep repeating the same process. But great questions, man. And I'm definitely going to send you something. I think we'll be able to just do a better service of explaining it than I can. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time. Honestly, I don't know anywhere else that would be comfortable enough to ask these questions, but
and yet I still got shit for it.
Or you coming on my channel and listening to the way that you're talking about the profession, the way you're talking to other people. feel comfortable. Like, all right, this guy knows I'm coming from a good place. I might not really understand, but I'm trying to do better. So that's all we can do, right?
Brother, let me tell you something. That's how it's supposed to happen. You know, we're supposed to be comfortable asking questions, not knowing. And what I don't know, I'll point you in the right direction. People need to feel comfortable being able to learn. If we're not willing to do that, that's why we can't come together, because people want to get angry. They want to take it personal. They want to yell. Nah, man, like, you know, that's same thing. If I have, I had coworkers who were white who would ask me certain questions about the Black community, and they really want to learn because they don't know. And so, you know, it's important, man. So don't ever feel like you can't have a conversation over here. This is what the channel's all about. So I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you, Nathan. So that's basically the long and short of, you know, I plug my channel and all that, but you're already here, and I hope you're subscribed. If you're not, please do hit that subscribe button. And usually I do live streams, so if you want to ring the bell, make sure you are there for the party. But this video is a jumping off point. I want people who understand what Nathan is saying, understand what I am saying, to help me to bridge the gap. I get it. I am the dumb one here. I am the one who doesn't get it. That is the whole point. I don't know how much clearer I can make that, but I get that I don't get it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here making this video. So if you can help me, then please react to this video, comment your thoughts down below. I really hope this turns into something, because I think this is an important conversation that needs to be had and is just not able to be had, at the end of a long live stream in a panel discussion. So Nathan, I would love if this could be an ongoing thing where we just go back and forth so that we have the space to say what we feel needs to be said. But even if he doesn't do it, every one of you out there, I would love to see your reaction and your comments to this. Please do that. I really appreciate you guys hanging out and watching this video. Listen to me be super ignorant. And I would love if you could hit the like button on your way out. And, if you really enjoyed this, there are some support links in the description. I would love if you could help out the channel. I just did my last video was a stream talking about Kyle Kalinske and Jordan Peterson's debate, which was not free. But you don't have to do any of that, because it's completely free to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends, all of that good stuff. Even if you don't want to do any of that stuff, it is also completely free to just sit at home and think about how awesome I am and how great this channel is. Until next time, guys, I am Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense.